travelling the world, seeking out those aspects of nature that will in some way help to enhance my knowledge and enjoyment of wargaming. With the great Southern Ocean here on my left, I can only ask myself this one thing. What am I doing here? Why am I not at home having a chat about wargaming? Let's go. Hi everyone, I'm Brian Smith and welcome to Wargaming Chat. Sorry it's been a few months since my last episode, but we've had a few things happening with our lives and been a bit sidetracked, as I'll explain in a minute. Right. Now everyone, I'd like to introduce you to my new son. This is Philip, and he's the reason I've been very preoccupied over the last few months. As some of you may know, that having a child in the house is rather chaotic, and yes, we didn't expect him to come along, but there you go. Who knows when these little fellas will come along when you least expect them. And my daughter's very, very pleased to have a little brother. So there you go. Say hello, mate. Say hello. You're on Wargaming Chat. Yes, and one day my miniature collection will be all yours. Okay, but there you go. So, and of course, most of my video editing is going to be fairly poor, because with a baby, you only have a chance for one shot and one take. And so there you are. So I apologise for my videos if they're a bit shoddy, but here's the reason. No, he's a good baby, and I'm very, very pleased he came along. All right, well, back to the program. Good on you. Yeah, so hopefully that helps to explain why I've been a bit sidetracked and haven't had as much time for Wargaming Chat as I'd like. But meanwhile, the water tower project is complete. So yeah, let's move on to that and see what you think. What we have here is, I'm just carefully cutting out some small sheets of aluminium foil. As you can see, any old aluminium foil will do, because you can always smooth it out with your fingers. And I'm cutting into small sections to resemble sheets of metal that can wrap around and form the body of the water tank. I'll be just using these to laminate over the top of the existing cardboard or label that's already on the water tank itself. All I'm doing to achieve this is just smearing some white wood glue on the foil. This does the job and helps it adhere very nicely indeed. I'm carefully placing the aluminium foil on the water tower body itself, and what I'm trying to achieve here is double sheets of foil. An initial sheet surrounded the whole tin. Now the second sheets, cut into small sections, is just trying to represent the piecemeal repair or construction of the water tower as it would have been made. And I'm just using my fingers to smooth out some of the textures from the foil. A few little textures and ripples in the foil just give it a bit more character, I think. And I'm just rubbing off any excess glue as it comes out the edges. Now here's an important tool. Just got an ordinary old Bic propelling pencil here, one of those where you push the end and you move along a tiny piece of lead. But in this one I've taken the thin piece of graphite out because all I want is the actual aperture at the front, and I'm going to use this to impress into the aluminium foil little marks representing rivets or bolts, and it gives quite a good effect. Gives you a tiny little indented hole, and I've just gone and done that around the whole body, around the edges of each sheet, just representing the riveted sheets of metal as they're put together. I think it just has more character than if the sheets were assumed to be welded together. I just think the little riveting effect looks good, so I've done that. After that, I've just gone and undercoated it with a dark reddish brown, and then just been highlighting it in patches here and there with different shades of that colour, going from darker to light to show the variance that old faded paintwork on structures has. There's a few blends of a mouldy sort of green in there to help vary the colour. And so far here we have it. The water tower itself with my original proposed water outlet on it, which consists of just a bent straw with a piece of resin putty on it to form to look like a pipe, and I've made a little handle there to represent the valve handle, and that's what it's looking like so far on the tower I've previously shown you that I've built. Now, out of resin putty, I had a few pieces left over, so I rolled them thin into thin little rods, and I bent a piece over to make it look like just one of the pipes you put in the top of water tanks that gives them a bit of ventilation. So it's just I've just turned that piece of old putty into a bent over piece of ventilation pipe. I've just used my drill to just drill the end there. The piece I just showed you was for a second pipe, and the hole was just for the edge that's open to the sky. Not that anyone will ever see this, but that was just me making a bit of a hole there in the bent over pipe, just for fun. Now, I've made a hole in the water tank, and presto, there we go, there's the ventilation pipe. Now, all the little fittings that go on the water tower, with all my leftover resin putty, I thought, what will I do with this? I'm using Magic Sculpt, by the way. I've got tubs of the stuff. I'll never use it all up, but it's been very, very good. It's no different to Milliput and those other ones, or Knead It, that I've used in the past. It's much the same. Here I'm using just an old fish tank aerator for a bit of textured rolling. And out of these little strips of putty, I'm just making the fittings and fixtures that go over the water pipe itself, like brackets that are fastened onto the timber superstructure to hold the pipe in place. And what I've got here is a piece of putty I've used around an off-cutted plastic straw, using that as a form, and I've just made a little bracket there that will go around the centre of the pipe, and just attach that to the part of the wooden cross beam there. And I can use the end of my propelling pencil to put a few little rivets or bolts or whatever you want to indicate in there. And I can use my propelling pencil to put a few indentations in the end there on the wooden superstructure to represent bolts or whatever fastenings they might be using to attach it to the water tower superstructure itself. See, that's what I'm doing here, just putting some putty over a straw. And there you go. If I trim the ends off that,
there's a little bracket. Simple little bracket to attach it to the superstructure. Here we have, I've got a bracket down the bottom, bracket in the middle. I've used putty to make a valve at the top and bottom, plus the little handles pointing the right way to indicate that they're off. But yes, terrain needs a base, and it doesn't hurt to have a few other embellishments now, does it? So here for scale, I've got a few little partisans. I've used some water effects here. Now it's a bit rough, but it'll do. I also added some spare putty, made a little radio set, plus its carry case and fittings. The M1 carbine and backpack are just out of my bits box. But yeah, it's amazing what you can make out of leftover bits of putty. I've made foundations for the legs, concrete foundations there, various types of flock scatter and some grass, and a bit of highlighting on the ladder there. And with some leftover putty I made a couple of birds. One's a raven and one's some other random bird, I don't know what it is. Also made an aerial for the top there, run out with some fuse wire because a water tower would make an excellent location to put a communications point. So there we have it, we've got an antenna at the top, and wire running down it, the ladders, the riveting, bird, ventilation pipes, and also excrement around the edges, because obviously being a high point of the landscape, birds like to use the edges for their own observation points. But yeah, that's pretty much my water tower project completed, so let me know what you think. It was really easy and really good fun to make.
Now, I hope you enjoyed that segment. A few things I missed out on were that the hatch on the top is actually a 1/35th landmine. I thought might pass for a hatch. It was in my bits box. And yeah, apart from touch up rust around the edges of the panels, that sort of thing. But overall, yeah, I was pretty happy with the way it turned out. Just a little bit here and there as I snatched 5-10 minutes between looking after the baby. And yeah, I think that'll make a nice addition to my scenery collection. So I hope everyone got a little bit of something out of that about what you can do when you've got some spare time and a few spare bits and pieces. I don't think it would have cost me more than a couple of bucks all up, as really it's mostly coffee stirrers, an old gravy tin, and just a bit of paint and some time and effort. Yeah, so that's pretty much all I've got for Wargaming Chat this time. Hopefully I'll be able to get something together within the next month or so, maybe another battle report. But I'll just have to see how life's going while we look after baby. But otherwise, I wish you all the best, and thank you very much for watching, and I look forward to my next episode. So until then, cheers.